I just hope this player, and this player completely transform their gameplay in CFB 26 by simply implementing the 5 secret tips I'm sharing with you in this video. If you're tired of getting zero pressure on the quarterback or want to finally learn how to stop glitchy RPOs, I've got you more than covered in this video, so don't skip out on any of the tips and tricks I'm breaking down today. Let's jump right into it. The first secret trick I want to break down is actually a way to get instant sacks on the quarterback that not enough players know about this hidden mechanic. Let me show you. Alright, so we're going to come into 4-3 even 6-1 here from the 4-3 multiple playbook, and you can do this from a lot of different defenses, but what we're going to be talking about here is the D-pad switch stick. So we're going to create an overload, right, by shifting our defensive line to the left. Now we have 3 defensive linemen matched up against 2 offensive linemen, but the reality is, if I were to just call it like this, right, the center is going to slide over and block. Well, at least he's going to a lot of the time. Actually, that just shows you how good, 6-1 actually is, that we're still able to come in free. But what's supposed to happen is he's supposed to slide over to the left side if you were to communicate with his line. For some reason, he's a dummy and slides over here to the side with 2 guys instead of the one with 3. But regardless, that's not the one because that's not consistent. So what we're going to do to make sure that happens every time is we are going to blitz our user defender, shift our defensive line left, and then we're going to drop these 2 guys into zone. So our D tackle and our D end right here, we're going to put them in a vert hook, a hook curl and a curl flat. And then as soon as the ball snap, we're going to press the D-pad to the right to D-pad switch it onto them. So I'm going to take this snap right here, press the D-pad to the right, and there you're able to see how we're going to come in free. Because we create the 4-on-3 advantage simply because we were able to overload blitz them and then get out of here with the D-pad switch stick. So we start the play right here on number 10. Then we end up blitzing our user defender. He gets the attention of the guard, which really made it a 4-on-2 over here. But typically this man right here is going to run to the center, which is going to make it a 4-on-3 advantage while you're back into coverage with this big boy to take away whatever could be open. What I will say is if you want to double D-pad switch, which is what I'm about to show you here, you can do that so that you actually get onto the curl flat defender who's a linebacker and not a defensive lineman. But you always want to make sure you're standing 2 yards over the left shoulder of the center here since you shifted your defensive line to the left. And then I'm going to take the snap and double D-pad switch where now I'm actually on that, linebacker out there who can actually kind of move a lot better than a defensive lineman would. But the reality is the pressure is so fast that it really maybe might be even more beneficial for you to just stick onto this guy so you can take away these quick immediate passes over the middle of the field. But again, you're able to see how when you stand in the spot, you're just able to easily, get this flying pressure. I mean, really right here, kind of 2 guys came in untouched, and then you're back into coverage to take everything away. So, right, it's like the D-pad switching when you create the overload is going to be super, super effective for you because if you were to set it up like this and you didn't do the mechanic, the D-pad switching, if you were to try to switch it with the right stick switch players, you would get this whiff animation. Right, and you're able to see that's how good 6-1 is, but you want to be over there on the sideline to be able to defend whatever they might possibly have breaking open. That's why you have to actually switch it by pressing the D-pad to the right. But you're able to see again how I'm getting these weird whiff animations with my player, and so I'm not able to switch correctly, which could hurt your coverage out there. You're able to see how dominant the blitz is going to be, but you have to pair them both together, and the best way that you're going to do that is by using the D-pad switch stick by, again, shifting your D-line left, dropping these guys into a curl flat, and then just pressing your D-pad to the right as soon as you see the ball snap. Alright, so that next pro tip that I want to break down is actually going to be a way to beat nickel double mug super, super easily with a 3-step if-then statement. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so we are going to be here in gun trips tight end, and I'm going to call this play all curls, alright? So what we understand about double mug is that it's a very blitz-heavy defense, alright? And so the reality is they have all their defenders on our trip side right here. So if we were to just call quarterback zone from trips tight end, which is in my Alabama offensive ebook, you're just going to notice how we're going to have easy yards out there, set that guy up with a spin, and then score the touchdown. The reason why is because we just have a numbers advantage over there on the right side. Because again, they're aligning all their DBs over here on this trip side, so we're going the other way. With our quarterback, we get Jam Miller, our running back, to seal this safety, and then we just have a huge convoy, to hit a spin and then score a touchdown, right? And so the reality is, the reason why this is going to work, if we draw a line on the center, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on the right side, and we have, 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers plus our quarterback. So if everyone just does their job, right, we have a numbers advantage over here, and then we're going to be able to set this guy up with a spin sometimes and be able to turn that into easy yards down the field. So it's like you have the numbers advantage, you take advantage of it. But so that only works when you quick snap, because if you give them time to walk their safety down like this, well, now they have, it's 5-on-4, so you can't call that play. And then a lot of the time what you guys are doing is calling these really bad plays because you're kind of nervous that you can't run the quarterback. So what you're going to do instead, if you let them basically walk this guy down, right? I mean, I wouldn't really recommend you do that, but if you're in a play cooldown league or you let them walk their safety down, now you pivot to the next step, which is going to be, if they're in off-man coverage, you're throwing your curl to Bernard. So boom, take it, and then we're just throwing the curl out on the break, okay? The reason why you want to throw it really before he even sits down, before he finishes running his route, is because you want to be able to click onto this guy and then come back to the ball. So you see how this ball's already been released before he even turns around? Because as soon as he sits down, I want to be able to come back to the ball and aggressive catch it with Y or triangle. Because if I were to hike this ball and then basically throw it, you're just going to notice, I mean, that time I got a really good animation by default by EA, but it's like there's going to be times where he doesn't come back to the ball and then the guy's able to break it up and it's a drop. So obviously having like sure hands, right, on your receiver is going to help you, but you always want to be coming back to the ball with, that aggressive catch feature so that you can really make sure that you reel it in and not ever drop the ball. It's very rare that I drop core routes in this game simply because I have that, mechanic mastered. But the reality is they could just press you. And now when they press you, this curl is going to be harder to get open. It's going to take him longer. And you see how right here when I throw it, I still complete it. But like if the pressure got there faster, I wouldn't have been able to complete that pass. So then the next step is going to be the mesh concept. So if they're in press man coverage, now what you're going to do is put your tight end's already on a drag here, but then I'm going to put my slot receiver on a drag. So now I have a mesh concept, and you're just reading the mesh. Whichever one of those two drags ends up getting open, which it's not going to be very likely that both of them get strapped up and guarded, so you really are going to be able to, tell which one you're throwing to. So again, boom, take it, and now you're able to see how, again, Ryan, especially when you have takeoff on your receiver, it's going to make this really, really easy for you. But again, that's the 3-step, okay? If you want to go with the quarterback, if you quick snap the ball or you're not in a play cooldown league, you can very easily do that, get the ball out here into space, turn that into easy yards. If they're in off-man coverage like they are right here, you hike the ball, throw your curl route, throw it on the break, come back to it. And then obviously, lastly, which is probably the most common scenario, is if they're in pressed man coverage like this, you go with the drag, the mesh concept, you hit whichever one of the two routes ends up getting open, and you turn that into easy yards down the field. So beating nickel double mug doesn't have to be that challenging when you simply implement that 3-step system from Gun Trip's tight end. Alright, so if you found those first 2 pro tips helpful here in College Football 26, make sure you go down below and hit that subscribe button. I break down College Football 26 tips and tricks just like this to help you get better every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want my full UCLA offense ebook for free, go down below in the comment section, comment the word free, I'll send it over. It goes through the full videos, screenshots, write-ups, everything you're going to need to dominate an offense here in CFB 26 from the UCLA playbook, and I highly recommend you check it out. So what are you thinking? It's free. Go down below, comment the word free, and let's jump right back into the video. Because next I want to break down zone drops. Too many players don't actually understand the best settings to use or what zone drops actually do. Let me show you. Alright, so if you're on defense and you press the right stick to open your coaching adjustments menu, you're going to be able to scroll down here until you find zone drop, flats, curl flats, and hooks. Alright, and really what this is going to do, it's going to actually just, as it says, control where your zones drop to, okay? So what I normally say, there's a lot of different use cases for zone drop. So people ask me all the time, what are the best zone drop settings? They depend on the situation that you're in on defense, okay? Normally when I start games, I start with my flats on default, my curl flats on 5, and then my hooks on default. But what's really important for you to understand, and this is what a lot of players miss, if you have your zone drop flat on default, what you're going to see is if you call a cover 2 base play, your light blue zones are your flat zones. Your purple zones are your curl flats, and then your yellow/gray zones are your hooks. So if you were to call a cover 2 defense, but you had your curl flats on 5, it actually wouldn't matter. Your flats would not be dropping to 5 yards because you don't actually have curl flats on the field, right? On the flip side, if you called cover 3 sky and you put your flats on 25, it wouldn't matter because you don't have light blue zones on the field. You don't actually have flats. So they're going to drop to 5 yards because that's where you have your curl flats set to in your zone drop. So understand that anytime you're calling a play, you need to make sure that you actually have that particular zone on the field if you're going to set it in your zone drops. But the first great use case for zone drops, now that we have the understanding of what they actually do, which zones control what, is putting, like I said, your curl flats on 5 to start the game and then starting in a cover 3 defense. The reason why you're going to do this is because you want to be able to stop the underneath pass. You're just going to notice how if we throw an out route, we have a 5-yard curl flat right there to break on that pass and knock it away or intercept it just like that. Versus if we left maybe our curl flats on default or we set them too deep, he's going to drop back and not take this away. So anytime you're playing defense, you have to take away their first read, you have to take away their checkdowns, and that's exactly what a 5-yard curl flat is going to do a great job of doing, right? And same thing on the other side where they have the table route to Jam Miller, well, Bray Hubbard's going to be right there to just break on that pass, knock it away, or intercept it. So that's really the first use case is if you're trying to stop underneath passes, you can simply put your curl flats on 5 and do a great job of kind of slowing that down right there or intercepting the pass. But the second use case is going to be when you come into your zone drops again and you're trying to stop flood concepts, right? So if you were to call cover 3, they call street corner flat. Obviously, it's going to be wide open on the sideline, but instead what you're going to do is come into a Tampa 2 base play, right? So then we're going to have them call like a flood concept. So you're going to call a Tampa 2, and now you're going to have a 25-yard flat, and then you're also going to put your slot corner in a 5-yard curl flat like this. So boom, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side where you have a 25-yard flat, a 5-yard curl flat, and so now we're going to call a flood concept, and we're going to be able to stop, everything that they have on the field. This is also why it's important to do it on both sides so that when they flip their play, you're still going to be able to do a great job of stopping it, but you're just going to see it, how we're right there to stop that flat, and then we're also right there to defend that deep corner out if our defender wasn't so soft out there. So that's the second great use case for, zone drops, is when you're trying to defend these flood concepts where you have a guy dropping back to defend their corner out, you have a deep safety to guard their shriek, and then you have a 5-yard flat defender to take away their underneath pass. So really, that's zone drops, what they do. Your light blue zones control your flats. As you're able to see right here, we have them set to 25 yards, and then your purple zones are going to control your curl flats, who we have set to 5 yards, and then your hook zones are going to control like mid-read, 3-rec hooks, avert hooks, those type of zones. But always make sure you actually have that particular zone on the field based on the cover that you call so that your zones are dropping to the right place. All right, before I jump to those final 2 tips that you're not going to want to miss here in College Football 26, I wanted to remind you to go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down College Football 26 tips and tricks just like this every single day to help you guys get better, and I'm the only one breaking it down right now every single day here on YouTube. So I'm really the best channel to watch and take information from. So what are you thinking? It's literally free to subscribe. Go down below, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into those final 2 tips. Which that next one is going to be the best way that you are going to stop getting sacked every play here in College Football 26. Too many of you guys are taking these horrible sacks and you have no idea why. Let me show you a great tip to help fix that. Alright, so this is going to be from every single formation, every single play here in the game. I'll come into a random play from gun tight open right here, and all I'm doing is what I'm talking about here is reading the flame icon. So you're able to see how this linebacker right here on the right side that's lined up over the tight end, you see how he has a flame icon over his head? This defender right here, let's see if I can get on Jefferson. He has a flame icon over his head, which means the game is telling you if he blitzes, he's going to come in completely untouched. So you need to be ready to get rid of the ball if he does blitz. So really, that's what you're doing. You're reading the flame icons. I see on that play how he doesn't blitz, so I'm very confident that I'm going to have time. Basically, no one else that if they don't have a flame icon, they shouldn't come in untouched. Like, it's going to be like a 95% success rate where as long as once you see that the flame icon defenders aren't blitzing, you know you're going to have time. Now, sheds are a thing still, so you still have to get rid of the ball. I'm not telling you have all day to throw, but it's like now you're going to be doing a lot better job. Now, notice how when I blocked my running back, there was only one flame icon, but now that I'm sending him out on a route, there's two. Neither of them blitz, so I know I'm still going to have all day to throw, and so I'm able to turn that into a 10-yard gain and a first down, right? So it's like once all I'm doing is snapping the ball and then reading those two guys. First, I looked at him to see if he was blitzing, then I checked him, saw that they were both dropping into coverage, so now you're able to see how no one else comes in free. Now, 74 gets shedded immediately, so I still have to get rid of the ball, but it's like, and now I don't have to necessarily worry about a guy walking in my backfield untouched. You're able to see how two linebackers, one of them blitzes, I know he comes in free, and so I also, wow, that was actually kind of crazy. But, like, I know I have to, escape the pocket and then make the read down the field, and make sure that I don't just stand tall. We look at the replay right here. Like the game told me, this guy came in untouched. And so I knew I needed to roll out immediately. I saw as soon as he blitzed, I wasn't going to have time. I knew I needed to kind of vacate the pocket there. And so that's what I do. You're able to see how, again, there's only one flame icon defender. The further they are away from the ball, the less likely they are to actually blitz. If they're kind of standing in the box, they could blitz. So you're going to see how, again, right here, now there's a flame icon over the head of a defensive end, which means it's urgent that I get rid of the ball. Right, but he actually ends up, getting blocked right here because he didn't blitz, and so now I'm able to step up in the pocket and actually run down the field with my quarterback, for a 25-yard gain. Simply because all I'm doing is reading these guys, and always understand that the more blockers you have, the less flame icons there's going to be. Right here, both of them drop out, but another defender actually came in free right there. So not even the guy that the game was telling me, but I still was, cognizant and aware that I needed to get rid of the ball on time, like really quickly, so I was able to. Again, right here, I mean, it doesn't matter the route concept you see. Again, once again, I need to flush the pocket. I do, and I'm able to find my guy open down the field. So really, that's the best way that you're going to stop getting sacked every play, is you're going to start looking at your player by holding the right trigger and then the right stick up. You're going to see these flame icons over the head of defenders, and all you're checking is right when you snap the ball, are those guys blitzing or are they staying in coverage? If they blitz, they're probably coming in free. If they drop out into coverage, you're going to have plenty of time, like right here, and we're able to find our guy open down the field for a first down. So start reading the flame icons, and I guarantee you're going to stop getting sacked so much because you're going to know that the blitz is coming. All right, and that fifth and final tip that I want to break down here today is actually going to be the best way to lock down trips formations here in College Football 26. They're normally super hard to stop, but let me show you a hidden adjustment that not enough players know about. Alright, so I'm going to call cover 4 right here, but what you're going to notice is this is going to be cover 4 drop. And so the reality is, it doesn't actually matter if it's cover 4 drop or like cover 3 defenses. Flood concepts, like I showed you earlier in the video, are going to do a great job of actually working against that. You see how that's open. Unfortunately, my quarterback kind of sailed that throw, but it's like, you're really going to struggle against these types of plays when you're actually running like cover 4. Especially just cover 4 drop, because you're just able to see how that's going to be an easy possession catch. Now, match coverage is going to do a great job of slowing that down. But really, this is what I'm talking about, where you're just going to, this inside quarter is going to be matching onto everything. So obviously right here, we're in cover 4 quarters right here. And so you're going to notice how this inside quarter is going to do a great job of matching this corner route here, where we're going to take this snap and we're going to match onto that corner route, and we're just going to follow it all the way to the sideline to be able to break it up and knock it away, right? This is the power of match coverage and how you can use it effectively against trips formations, because you're going to notice how this, guy right here, we're going to guard this drag with our user right across the middle, and then this, inside quarter, instead of letting the outside quarter guard him and then he's just going to get outran towards the sideline, he takes it himself, and then he's easily just going to be able to lock down that corner out. He's basically converting from zone coverage to man coverage as soon as the ball snaps. So we go with it again, where again, we're just easily going to be able to just pass that right off. He turns that into his assignment, and then he uses the sideline as another defender, which is honestly going to do a great job of locking this down. But the reality is, you can actually do this from any single defense in the game. You don't actually have to call a cover 4 quarters play. I can actually turn this into man coverage on the other side of the field, right? So something like this, and we're still going to do a great job of guarding this, you know, corner route here on this side of the field, right? So again, we're going to go with the same route concept where boom, and it's the same inside third logic where he's just going to follow that route across the field. So it's actually not just corner routes, because the reality is if they were to call a post route right here, he's still going to do a great job of just guarding it. So what we're going to do, we're going to put number, you know, Horton right here on a post route. We're going to take this snap, and you notice how he again follows the post across the field, and then he goes up and knocks the pass away. So really, that's the great benefit of the inside. I call it the trips match cage, because you're just running match coverage and you're going to be able to lock down whatever route concept they call. So again, he's going to be in match coverage, which means that he could be late matching onto it and trailing it. So that's where you still have to be switching ready. But notice how there's no other deep zones on the other side of the field, but he's still going to do a great job of just guarding this. So again, boom, we have our post. He's carrying it across the field, and he's doing a great job of guarding it. That's basically man coverage, but I have all three zone drop depths on default, and I have my top safety in an inside quarter, which is basically telling him, hey, this inside trips receiver is your assignment, and then the other guys follow suit as far as guarding everything else on the field. So essentially what I'm telling you is, forget everything else in the field, right? You can guard everything else yourself or with other zones, but stopping this inside trips receiver is normally their go-to guy. And so what you can do is just either call cover for quarters and play match coverage, or you can run man coverage, but then hot route or audible your safety, quick adjust him into an inside quarter. And so now he's going to be able to do a great job of just latching onto that receiver and then just guarding and going wherever he goes. Right, so you're going to be able to see right here where we have that inside quarter on the field. He's going to run a post route, and you're just noticing how that inside quarter is going to do a great job of just matching and carrying that route across the field. So I just like doing it most from like a cover 4 quarters play call, so that I don't actually have to hot route everyone else like onto their particular zones. I would just rather call cover 4 quarters, decide to run man coverage, right, on the tight end, maybe on the running back, and then maybe I man up this seam guy, Ryan Williams, like this, and then you just see how they're going to have this, you know, play right here, and we're going to be able to do a great job of guarding it because our guy is matching onto that and then taking it away down the field every single time. So that's really the benefit here of the trips match cage, being able to have your inside quarter on the field, and then just also understanding that he's going to match depending on the route concept that the offense calls. So there might be other routes that pull him out of position, which is why you don't necessarily want to run this every single play. You want to do it when you know, for example, like they're going to call like this type of play where you're just easily able to match onto that, use the sideline as another defender. Whether he's running a corner or a post, you're going to be locking it down every single time with your inside quarter. Alright, so if you found any of those 5 pro tips helpful here in College Football 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down CFB 26 tips and tricks just like this every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want my free UCLA offensive ebook, which is a full written breakdown that goes through videos and screenshots that guide you through the easiest offense, simplest offense in the game, go down below in the comment section, comment the word free. I'll send it over right now. I mean, it literally is super easy to run and it's literally free. So what are you thinking? Comment the word free down below. I'll send it over. And if you want to see the best defense in the game that pairs perfectly with that UCLA offense, check out this video where I go through my 3-2-6 defensive ebook. I'll see you over there. Peace.